We are just now getting the result from the very first tournaments for Mega Rising, which means we are seeing how the best players are playing these new Mega decks, these new EXs. Very, very excited to show them to you. Not talk about Suicune for the first time in 2 months. Let's jump into it. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, like the video. 80% of you are not subscribed. We have to fix that, so I'm going to incentivize you. If you leave a comment, I will pick someone at random. I'm going to do this for the whole week, and you can have your choice of a shiny Darkrai or a shiny Giratina. So if you want either of those cards for free, just drop a comment. Make sure you're subbed. So here we have our first list I'm going to show you. I think it's fitting. Mega Blaziken is the most hyped version, and the version that seems to be performing the best is Entei, which is, you know, that's how I thought it'd be built. So a little bit of credit where credit is due to me. Now, this is a bit of an interesting list. I don't agree with everything entirely, but it's more so that it is proving that in a tournament with good players, best of 3, it is able to compete against the old decks that were very good and then all of the new decks that are coming out. Some things I don't quite agree on is just 1 Flame Patch and 1 X Speed. I'm going to be honest, that to me reads like we don't have 2 Flame Patch for this deck, and there's also no May. I think that this person just doesn't have the supporters, but dude, that's how strong Blaziken is. Like, I don't think this is the optimal way to build it. I would want double Flame Patch and a May in here somewhere. Again, I'm just going to guess that, like, this person doesn't quite have all the cards, but even with an probably unoptimal Blaziken build, they're still able to do very, very well in a tournament. This is a 200-person tournament that's going on right now, and these are all of the decks that have are within like the next stage of the tournament. So they had a very positive record and are able to continue going on. Mega Blaziken, it's gonna do 140 damage. You have the red to boost it up to 160. It's just really scary. It's really, really scary. The deck does so much damage, and with Entei, if your opponent is like somewhat slow to set up, you can kind of like reasonably consistently find double Mega Blaziken. I've played a lot of games where my opponent was able to get double Mega Blaziken online, and that becomes it's so difficult because you're trying to take out a 210 HP Pokemon in order to win the game, and your opponent's bouncing between 2 of them. Like, dude, what are you supposed to do? This deck is so aggressive. Like, it only needs 2 energy to attack, and you can power it up out of nowhere because of the Flame Patch. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I think it is one of the best new decks for sure. I'm still trying to decide what I think is the absolute best deck. I haven't gotten to play with everything yet. I do have Blaziken cards unlocked, but I haven't built the deck yet because, dude, there's not enough time in the day, right? I can only build so many decks at once. But yes, Mega Blaziken is proving itself to be just as good as we all thought it was, which I'm very happy with. And honestly, a lot of these megas seem to be very good. I think this meta is going to be very, very cool because no mega really like straight up counters the other one. Maybe like Altaria counters Gyarados depending on how you're building it. But for the most part, you need to win these mega games with good play. You need to make sure that you are not being the first mega in the active spot. You know, like, all of the megas can kind of deal with each other, which is really cool. We're not seeing one deck that is so obviously broken compared to all the other ones, at least yet. Maybe things will change as the meta progresses, but for now, we're seeing these big megas battle it out, and it's not really clear who is the winner of the format quite yet. So here's Mega Blaziken. I think building it with Entei is the best. I like it a lot more than Magby and Cleffa and those other baby Pokemon because we just want to draw into the Mega Blaziken, and starting Entei, like, it's not a big deal, man. We can retreat him with and power up the Blaziken out of nowhere with Flame Patch. So yeah, I would build the Entei version if you do have Blazikens and you're wondering how to build it. I think Entei's the best. Now we're going to get into a little bit of spice. We have Hydreigon, and I guess I'll consider this a Mega Absol deck as well. So Hydreigon, it is almost like Rampardos. It's not a fossil, but with its ability, which allows you to put 2 dark energy on it, and it does 30 damage to itself, it can then attack for 130. So essentially, you're attacking for 130 for just 1 energy attachment. Very Rampardos-like, and instead of taking 50 damage for knocking out a Pokemon, it's going to take 30 damage for its ability. It seems fairly strong, right? Like, that's just 130 is a good amount of damage, especially when you're looking at all these megas you are able to two-shot any of them with a 1-point Pokemon, and these Megas have a really hard time at dealing with the Hydreigon in return, especially if you're able to use the ability and then heal that damage off. This person has elected to play it with the Sylveon, and then that one Mega Absol. Not quite as focused on Mega Absol, which I think makes sense. Mega Absol is... it's not like the best Mega, but as I sort of predict, like when I first saw Mega Absol, my immediate thought was, well, this was probably going to be like a 1-of in Dark decks, maybe a 2-of in Dark decks. It's going to be some sort of supplemental attacker in them because it's not quite powerful enough to run the game itself. But when you have a 170 HP Pokemon that's going to discard a supporter card from your opponent's hand, that makes it a really, really good endgame option. Maybe you can pivot into the Absol, do 80, and either two-shot whatever else you need to win the game, or just do 80 damage, say, I'm going to survive this turn no matter what, and then pivot into another attacker that can do just a bit more damage to your opponent. So this is a very, very cool list. I'm hyped to see that Hydreigon's doing well. I think it's like, dude, it's such a great balance, man. You can play these big 3-prize Megas. My cat's trying to get in the video. I guess I'll show it to you guys. Why not? It's nice that like you have these big 3-prize Megas, and then you also have like single point Pokemon that can still keep up. This is a very unique thing for Pokemon. I come from the real TCG where it's not always the case that, you know, single point decks are able to keep up with the big EX attackers in the meta, and I love that we have this option in Pokemon Pocket. Here's another take on Mega Absol, and let me tell you guys, Oricorio today has been a demon. I have been farming the casual ladder with Oricorios. Honestly, it has felt like Oricorio is the plan A, and then the Mega to go with it is just kind of plan B. Like, oh, if you find a way to deal with the Oricorio, I guess I'll make you get through a 3-point Pokemon. But usually, the Oricorio is just enough. And I think that's probably what some of these players are finding, because we're going to see a lot of Oricorio Pichu packages in these Mega decks. Feels very good for the start of this format. I'm sure as the format develops, these will no longer be the preferred way to play these Megas. It's just, people don't respect Oricorio. Day one, they don't. They do not respect the Oricorio, and a lot of players are getting punished because of it. So, this is Absol with Pichu, Oricorio, and Darkrai. It plays Dark Energy only. The Pichu is nice because it means you can power up the Darkrai a little bit faster, and you power up the Oricorio. You get like, you can attack one turn sooner with the Darkrai. The Absol, it's not going to do anything for you, but again, like I said previously, it's just that 3-prize Pokemon that is going to be very, very hard for your opponent to deal with. I also like the 2 Cyrus in here. I think decks that are more focused on attacking with Mega Absol, having double Cyrus is very, very good because you're not doing a whole lot of damage. You are sort of preventing your opponent from playing the game. I mean, they got double red card in here. So while you're preventing your opponent from playing the game, you know, a way for them to stay in it is going to be retreating their Pokemon around, and you could just continuously access them with the Cyrus. So very awful deck, I'm going to be honest. Not awful in the sense that it doesn't work, but in the sense that it does work and it's evil. Yeah, if you I guess hate your opponent and you want to bring this to casual, go for it, man. Here we have the best performing Mega Pinsir list, and it's another Pichu Oricorio package. We're playing it with Alolan Executor and Oricorio. So again, another like, hey, we're going to make our opponent get through Oricorios or Alolan Executors, and then at the end of the game, I'm going to bring out this big Mega that's going to be doing huge damage. It's a very, very good strategy because not really anything besides Charizard from Genetic Apex can reasonably deal with a Mega in one attack. And if you have just forced your opponent, like they have to knock out the Alolan Executor because it's swinging for 150. Sure, it has to flip a coin for it, but it is a threat. So they attack into the Alolan Executor to deal with it. And then you get to be the Mega that is swinging first. That is so, so important in this metagame. And I think it's a great way to build decks. I feel like the Megas that are really going to win are the ones that have the best way to force the your opposing opponents, yeah, sure. Your opponent's Mega into the active spot first. Like, Alolan Executor is going to do very, very well at that. And if you're running, you know, if things are going a little bit slow for you, you have the Oricorio to just kind of play chicken in the active spot and say, dude, you either don't got Sabrina or you don't have a way to deal with the Oricorio. I'm just going to get a bunch of free turns, get some free energy attachments in. Now, the player who plays this did say that they tried both Grass and Lightning and just Grass and sorry, not just Lightning, but they played just Grass and Lightning. They messed around with both of them, and they say both are perfectly valid. They both have just different sort of matchup spreads, like the way that some of these games go. If you play just Grass, you'll have a better time into some decks, and if you play Grass and Lightning, you'll have better times into other decks. I look at this, I can't imagine playing Grass and Lightning myself, because I don't know, like, if you're playing Grass and Lightning, I don't see why the Pinsir even makes the cut, because it needs 2 Grass attachments to it, and that's too much to ask for when you're running dual type. It's too much. When you can't accelerate Grass energy into play in any way, I don't buy it. Now, there weren't really any Pinsir Leafeon lists that did too well, which was surprising to me. This is the best performing Pinsir list, like I said. So if you're looking to build a Pinsir deck, those were the megas that you got, or you're just interested in trying the guy, this is where I would start. I would start with this Oricorio Alolan Executor list. I like the idea, Oricorio to block, Alolan Executor to force your opponent to put that mega in the active spot, because a lot of people are just running megas right now. Yeah, very, very cool. Leaf Cave gets your Pinsir up to 200 HP, just becomes a monster to deal with. And with Will being able to guarantee 150 every turn, super, super fun. I'm excited. I can't wait to pull some Pinsir so I can give this deck a go. Now we have Mega Altaria, and I'm not going to spend too much time on any one list because I do have my own Mega Altaria variant coming out tomorrow, or it came out yesterday, depending on how I do these uploads. But this is Mega Altaria with Sylveon. This one, I will say, I don't particularly love Mega Altaria with Sylveon, just because I don't feel like this Sylveon adds a whole lot. Like, the draw is nice for sure, but as I've said, you want to be forcing your opponent's Mega into the game, and to me, I feel like either Jirachi or maybe Giratina is a much better way to do that. Just like, either you're pinging their Mega on the bench and you can then Cyrus it, or you're attacking with a Giratina doing 130 damage, and that's gonna, that's gonna make your opponent put that Mega in the active spot. So I'm not sold on the Sylveon. It is the worst performing version of all the Mega Altaria lists. Next up, we have this Mega Altaria Indeedee Giratina. The Indeedee is very cool. It has a very relevant attack and a very relevant ability. Its ability is going to allow you to heal 20 damage from your active Pokemon, and the Psychic attack does 30 plus 30 more for each energy. Indeedee is able to knock out a Giratina in one hit with no damage modifiers. It is a very, very scary attack. You can knock out a bunch of Pokemon. You got to add red into the mix for most of the other ones, but like a Giratina, you can knock out with just 2 energy attachments. Crazy. Other than that, since we're just playing Swablu, we're not playing any of the Licia, which makes sense to me. I do really love the May in Altaria. I think May has been a great consistency card so far. I think May, they finally added a new supporter card that is consistent and helps. I have not gotten to run any decks with Copycat yet because I haven't played it, but it doesn't seem like the worst. I think it's strictly better than Iono. Iono was just didn't pan out, to be honest. And then 1 Cyrus and 1 Sabrina, and then a Leaf in case you start like the Giratina and want to get into the Altaria quickly. And then the Altaria variant that I am the most fond of is this Altaria with Jirachi and Chingling. I have my own version of this deck coming out tomorrow, so I won't spend too much time talking about it. But I really love the Licia synergy with Jirachi and Chingling and the Swablu, like being able to grab all of your basics from the deck helps you thin a lot. Very, very cool. Jirachi doing 30 is, I mean, you just pair that with Cyrus, and you can force the pace of the game. You decide what's going to be in the active spot and when, or pick up a couple free knockouts, or more likely like 1 free knockout. And then the Chingling item lock, dude, I'm making plays that you would only see in the real TCG. I am using Chingling on turn 15 because I need my opponent to miss an item card for a turn. It is very, very cool to play. This is my favorite Mega by far. I'm very excited for the video tomorrow. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you can catch my version of Mega Altaria. The only thing I don't agree with in this list, besides some of the supporter counts and other cards, I guess. All right, the one Pokemon I don't agree with is the Relicanth. I think that the Baby Altaria is much better than the Relicanth. I would not build it in this deck. If you start the Relicanth, which is only a 1 out of 7, not even a 1 out of 7, because you can start with any of the other basic Pokemon in your hand as well. It's not great. It requires 2 energy attachments. It has 90 HP. It's going to do damage to itself. I don't love the Relicanth. I like the Baby Altaria a lot more. Mega Altaria has been so much fun and is probably the most underrated of like those 3 megas. Everyone was hype on Blaziken. Everyone was hype on Gyarados. Not a lot of people talking about Mega Altaria, but I always believed. Let's take a short break from the megas for probably the most surprising EX, and that is Jolteon EX. It has the ability that as long as it's in the active spot, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their energy zone to one of their Pokemon, they take 20 damage. So it's like a Darkrai effect, kind of, except it's when your opponent attaches an energy. It is really scary because Eevee has the boosted evolution ability. So if you go first and start Eevee, you can evolve into the Jolteon immediately. That means on your opponent's second turn, they're going to take 20 damage. The Jolteon can get up and attacking really quickly, like really quickly. And so if they're attaching to the active Pokemon, they are now taking 100 damage by the second turn. Like, it's so aggressive. It's so much more aggressive than any Lightning deck has really ever been. And it's so annoying to deal with. The thing that I would change with this list, as someone who does not have Jolteon, has not played with it, I would like Double Cyrus in here because a lot of the time, your opponent's going to be building up that bench Pokemon, right? If they see an Eevee and they see it evolve into a Jolteon, they're probably going to try their best to force that Cyrus out. You don't really want to take additional damage. And again, like the Jolteon swinging for effectively 100 is really hard to deal with. So if your opponent's building up the bench Pokemon, you're going to want to be able to access it. So I think that Double Cyrus would be a really good call in this deck. You play the Zeraora to help get the Jolteon online a little bit faster, and then 1 Oricorio. And then your big finisher is Pikachu EX. The Jolteon also fixes up a lot of Pikachu math. It goes from 150 to, for each attachment, you know, that's 20 HP less. So like a Mega Altaria, like we just showed, if they attach to the Mega Altaria twice and don't have any heal in their deck, the Pikachu can one-shot it. Even if they attach once, they're at 170, and the red can bring them over the line to knock out the Altaria and get the game-winning knockout. Really cool deck. I definitely underestimated Jolteon. I looked at it and just thought, like, we have fast lightning stuff, and it hasn't really ever panned out as well as we would want to. And maybe this deck isn't so scary if you just don't start Eevee, right? If you don't start Eevee, you're missing out on a few turns of electromagnetic wall, and that's not going to be great for you. But I mean, 80 damage for 2, man. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And having the Pikachu in the back, scary stuff. Yeah, very cool. So if you got Jolteon but no Megas, have no fear. It's actually a pretty decent deck. Now let's talk about the Mega Gyarados. You know how I was saying earlier that people are just not respecting Oricorio in this latest, and here is a list that does not respect Oricorio. 2 Mantike, 2 Magikarp, 2 Gyarados. Double Misty as well. This is a high roll deck for sure. I mean, you are just going all in, trying to get that Gyarados out as soon as possible, start doing 140 damage, and discarding your opponent's deck. So if you can get the Gyarados online really fast, you might just discard key pieces from your opponent, and they aren't really ever able to play the game. I think this take is interesting. I don't think I love the just pure high roll, because if your opponent is able to stabilize and set up, or you don't get the Mega Gyarados online fast enough, then this deck kind of falls apart. Or if your opponent plays any Oricorio at all, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Here's another version that did equally as good as the Mantike version, and I think it's really cool. So they are playing it with Milotic. Now, the Feebas and the Magikarp, or I guess just the Feebas in this one, they're not playing the Leap Out version of Magikarp, but the Feebas has the Leap Out attack, so you are able to preserve an energy on the Feebas. Some cases where you would want to, probably not a whole bunch. It has 120 HP on the Milotic. It is like an okay Oricorio answer. I mean, it's better than having nothing, right? The real thing about the Milotic is when you evolve it, when you evolve Feebas into Milotic, you get to heal 60 damage from one of your water Pokemon. That, in a lot of cases, is going to put the Gyarados over the edge and allow it to survive 3 attacks instead of just 2. And that's kind of nightmarish to deal with. This deck plays double Lycia because all of the basic Pokemon have 50 HP or less. And then one May just to help you get these evolution pieces. They also play heavy helmet, so you take 20 less damage. And across, if your opponent has to attack the Gyarados 3 times, that's minus 60. They attack it twice, it's minus 40. I think the heavy helmet and the Milotic like just pair really, really well together. Super, super cool version of Gyarados. I'm excited to see where it goes because either way, I don't think either of these lists are fully fleshed out. I feel like there's still more work to do on Gyarados before it's, hit its peak. It is just day one, but we will see where it goes. Okay, and our last Mega to look at is Mega Ampharos with Oricorio and Zeraora. Only one elemental switch in this list. I've been playing a lot of Mega Ampharos, and like I've been saying, it is an Oricorio deck plan A with a Mega as plan B. Oricorio is just going to shut down half the decks that people are playing right now. They just can't do anything about it, and when you're building up a 210 HP tank in the back, it feels pretty good. Now, when I was playing on stream, people were asking me, Tilly, why are you not playing red in this list? And this person doesn't either, and I'm going to tell you why. Mega Ampharos is doing 100 damage. There is really no breakthrough point of 100 to 120 damage. The way that you get extra damage in play is with that Oricorio. You attack with Oricorio first. Maybe you go into Mega Ampharos if your opponent's slow to set up, because doing, 60 damage across the bench, however it ends up panning out, is pretty frightening. I mean, if your opponent only has 2 Pokemon in play, that's just a 60 snipe to whatever Pokemon is on the bench. I've knocked out quite a few basic Pokemon like Torchics or Mantikes or whatever with the Lightning Lancer attack. But yeah, your main objective is just use the Oricorio to fix up the damage for you. Attack with the Ampharos, and then maybe Cyrus some things around to get those final knockouts you need. The guy's just really hard to deal with, and when you use the Oricorio to just do 50, 50, 50 until something comes up and knocks it out, that's a 1-point Pokemon, or sorry, a non-EX Pokemon. It is pretty frightening. So I like the Mega Ampharos. It feels a little bit weaker than the other Megas I have played or have seen, just because it's gotta commit to 2 or 3 shotting other Megas, and that never feels particularly great that you can't reach for those big damage numbers. And again, the red isn't really gonna fix any of that for you, but the Oricorio, man, the Oricorio's carrying. And then the last thing I'm going to leave you with is Hitmonchan. Someone found a way to make the Hitmonchan work. We've got Hitmonchan and Rampardos as like the main core, and then our additional attackers are Hitmonlee and Chingling. I think if you're a fighting deck, having Hitmonlee is not a bad idea, especially if Mega Gyarados ends up being like a top 3 meta threat. Because Hitmonlee, I've played a lot of Hitmonlee in Gyarados formats, and let me tell you, it is the worst thing for them. It's the worst thing for them. You look at that Magikarp and you hit it for 30 and it's knocked out, and there goes all the energy they just put on it. It is fantastic. The Hitmonlee is very, very good into that. And also, like I've been saying, being able to damage those Megas on the bench, very, very good. Very good to get that early damage in on them. The Rampardos, super scary as well, because, dude, nobody's playing Giovanni right now. No one's playing Giovanni. That means Blaziken's not going to knock out the Rampardos. Gyarados isn't going to knock out the Rampardos. They're going to have to deal with 2 back-to-back head smashes. Sure, after that, Rampardos is probably going to knock itself out, but it doesn't matter if you knock out a Mega, man. You won the game. So, double Rocky Helmet in here just to get a little bit of extra damage as well. Super cool. I'm glad that Hitmonchan seems that it might be capable of doing something. Again, this is day 1. It's day 1, so who knows? But hopefully there's some potential, and this isn't one of those day 1 decks that just like disappears forever, because we haven't seen a really decent fighting deck in quite a long time, and I'd be happy to see it come back. I'm not counting Silvally Rampardos as a fighting deck. That's a Silvally deck. Completely different. It's a Silvally deck that uses brown energy. Sure, it played Rampardos, but it's not in the true fashion of fighting decks, okay? Fighting decks in this game have always been toolbox attackers. You got a bunch of low energy attackers, and they all fill different roles, and they're all used at different times. That is a fighting deck. Silvally Rampardos, not a fighting deck. It is fake. That's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what deck you are enjoying the most in the comments. See you on the next one.